This movie was well on its way to becoming another amazing entry in the horror genre for 2025. If only they will get into it. Bring Her Back is the second feature film from the twin YouTuber brothers Danny and Michael Philippou, known on YouTube as Raka Raka. Their first movie being Talk to Me in 2022, which is 3 years ago now. 3 years already? One moment is 2022, boom, 2025. Time. Talk to Me was their first foray into feature filmmaking. And with a long, illustrious history of YouTubers trying to dip their toe into filmmaking, the results vary from absolute waste of film to god-awful. But to all our surprise, Talk to Me turned out to be a pretty bloody, and when I say bloody, I mean pretty bloody awesome movie that wasn't even on my list of movies to watch in 2022. It ended up on my radar after I saw Amanda the Jedi talk about it on her channel when she saw it at a film festival it was playing at. And I decided to go in blindly to watch Talk to Me. I didn't want to see clips, I didn't want to see pictures, I didn't want to see trailers, as I normally don't like to do because trailers these days show way too much. They might as well be called spoiler trailers. Trailers nowadays are almost 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes. Why are they so long? That aside, I was ridiculously entertained at how creative and entertaining of a movie Talk to Me turned out to be. Not necessarily scary to me, but hella creative. Enticingly well thought out with a nice sprinkle of originality. To all that haven't seen it, I would highly recommend that movie. It was one of the best of that year, and I might even do a video on it in the future. October is coming up soon, and that is the horror Halloween month. It's a good time to do it. So when I heard that the same directors were releasing a new horror movie, my excitement, my anticipation, my curiosity were tickled to say the least. And that brings us to Bring Her Back. And I have to say that they have not lost their form for creative filmmaking as well as having engrossing character-driven stories. With an amazing love for practical effects that are almost lifelike. Man, the practical effects in this movie, woo. That's what I'm talking about. Keep the practical effects looking like that, and you are well on your way to becoming one of the best horror directors in the future, for sure. Is the movie perfect though? Let's get into Bring Her Back. Quick synopsis out of the way. The movie follows brother and sister step-siblings, her sister Piper, who is visually impaired, played by Sora Wong, and the brother Andy, played by Billy Barrett. When the siblings are stricken with a devastating loss in the family, which would now make them orphans, the brother, played by Billy Barrett, would like to be the sole guardian of his sister. However, since he is not 18 years old and won't be for 3 weeks, he can't. And his sister, in the meantime, will be placed in the care of Sally Hawkins' character, Laura, who suspiciously only wants the sister and not the brother. I wonder why. But since the brother is adamant that they both go or none of them go, they are both placed in the care of Sally Hawkins, who already has another orphan with her named Oliver, played by Jonah Wren Phillips. That seems a slight bit strange and non-hyperverbal, and we come to learn that she had a daughter named Kathy that drowned, unfortunately, not long past, who was also vision impaired. So while with Laura all seems well and good, relatively, Sally Hawkins is nice and quirky yet loving towards Piper, and not so much towards Andy the brother. But slowly we come to realize that everything is not as it seems, and something more sinister is brewing under the surface. Question is, would the siblings find out what it is in time? So let's jump right into the positive of Danny and Michael Philippou's second horror movie. This movie does a very good job of building its tension slowly and methodically, giving you just enough to keep you invested and intrigued for what is to come. You know that throughout the runtime, everything is going to culminate to something absolutely destructive come the finale. It's a horror movie made by the same guys as Talk to Me. It's to be expected. There ain't no sunshine and rainbows with a nice warm feeling in your guts. If anything, guts are going to end up on the outside. So knowing that has you intrinsically chomping at the table. If you've seen the movie already, you know what I mean. This movie slowly lifts the axe higher and higher and higher, and you're eagerly waiting for it to drop. And it does drop, but it drops in a way that I have a lot of thoughts about, especially given the investment and patience us, the audience, have given it. We'll get into that post-haste. And I also have to mention again the practical effects. God, I love movies with practical effects. It's just too good.
Take it easy.
Practical effects used to accentuate and give credibility to the goriness that is present in this movie should be commended for how realistic it looks. They used it beautifully in their first movie, and boy did they get better with it with their second go-around. There are 2 scenes in particular where somebody's chewing on kitchen appliances and then later something else. People, when I tell you that it made me squirm, for somebody that can watch almost any movie that is grotesque and vile and should make them squirm, and I still don't squirm, and watching this scene made me squirm. Whew. I was watching it with 2 other people and all of us in unison were going, oh God. No, get it away from, oh my Lord. But practical effects wise, gnarly. I will always and forever be a champion of any movie that puts forth the time and dedication needed for practical effects to shine on screen. Whenever, wherever possible. Because everyone knows that aspect makes a difference. A memorable difference, and I guarantee you, a timeless difference. People are still talking about The Thing for a very good, valid, important reason. When we come back and revisit this movie, however many years later, that aspect will hold up very well. That added when these positively vile, grotesque, horrible, bloody scenes are going on.
Chef's kiss.
And combined with the interesting characters, from the siblings to the unremorseful, horrendous, god-awful Laura, a character that doesn't know how to deal with the severity of her tremendous loss, and the lengths she will go to no matter the dire, irreversible consequences. Grief is making this woman get in touch with her shadow side in the most horrific, unimaginable way possible. And the items used in this movie, the plot device of this movie, the VCR tapes, with instructions for this disgusting ritual, a lot of that is clouded in ambiguity and mystery, has you wondering where it came from, who started it all. And I appreciate movies that don't give you all the answers, letting us stew in our uncertainty. All of these aspects mixed together so well. The slow building creepy tension, not having solid answers as to where this ritual originated from. And even if the ritual is followed to the letter, will the subject be whole or horrifyingly tainted? It's a horror movie. These things never turn out the way you want it. Never, ever, forever, forever, ever, never turn out the way you want it to be. There's always something that's going to come back. But what something? And I like that that's not answered as well. All that sprinkled with the realism of its sound design and practical effects. And in the forefront, it's flawed, messed up, selfish, unhinged, downright evil, yet intriguing characters. A lot of those adjectives were meant for a specific character. Characters that are played so well by the cast. Most I haven't seen in really anything. And I am also a champion for casting unknowns. There is a lot of hidden talent out there in the world. We don't have to cast the same 5 to 7 actors in everything. Branch out, explore. The world is your oyster. Enjoy. And I appreciated that in this movie. I didn't know any of the cast playing the children, and I was pleasantly surprised at how good they did. Many people will have their standout for this movie. Some might say it's Sally Hawkins, who does very well. She's a very, very accomplished actress. She's very good. Some might say that Sora Wong, it's her first movie. To see how good she did in her first movie, that should be commended as well. But for me, the standout was Billy Barrett, the kid that played Andy. He's the one that stood out the most to me. He's the one I was rooting for throughout this movie, and anticipatingly waiting to see how his horror movie's journey was going to reach its amazing crescendo, eagerly hoping with bated breath for him to rise to the occasion of the moment and prove that he might have seen himself only as the brother before all this. But now he has truly risen to the mantle of being her guardian, her protector. If only they made different choices with the storytelling.
Calm down, calm down, calm down.
But the actor himself did do a very good job of portraying somebody that had to have a protective nature for his sister, as well as have chemistry. He had amazing chemistry with his sister, and the actress playing his sister, obviously Sora Wong, they had amazing chemistry and it shined on screen. It felt very natural to me. And almost everything the brother did was in service to make sure that his sister felt that he was her and their backbone, and that no matter what, he wasn't going to leave her. The actor Billy Barrett gave off that vibe perfectly well. But I also have to mention the sister played by Sora Wong. She had this beautiful innocence to her throughout the movie, where you wanted nothing to happen to her. And even the thought that something might made you uneasy in your seat. And she conveyed that quality very accurately. And this being her first feature movie, her first movie ever, I say well done. And let's not forget creepy Mick Creeperson over here. That kid looks like he is devouring your soul just from his stare. I would not and will not be left alone with that kid no matter the circumstances. Nothing on earth could make me sit alone with that kid and say, yeah, you take care of him. Say what?
Hell no.
And of course we come to the nice, innocent Sally Hawkins. The sweet, nice, decent lady from Paddington in Shape of Water who wouldn't hurt so much as a fly or ant on the ground. How could she possibly be the antagonistic figure of our movie? She had the toughest job of all. Playing someone you had to feel sorry for but you absolutely despise. A character worthy of your sympathy, but also terrible punishment. And as the movie progresses, she is a deeply, deeply, deeply flawed character who knows for a fact that what she's embarking on in this movie is leading her down a road to make the most horrific, diabolical of choices. But her innermost selfish yet borderline understandable desires for what she believes is the right choice leads her down a path for which there is no return. And the way she juggles those emotions, I have to say, made me absolutely swing back and forth from kill this I'm sorry this had to happen to you. Someone has to put a stop to this vile creature. You deserve to be whole again. You deserve a fate worse than death, you despicable excuse of a human being. Puh.
Spit on me, man.
You go back and forth a lot. And I will say that Sally Hawkins handled that range with absolute professionalism. Goes without saying. But I won't lie, she pissed me off. The character, not the actress. Another positive is that with horror movies today and for the foreseeable future, it's going to be pretty hard to be 100% new. It's almost impossible, which is totally fine. I can recognize that. But one thing I can do is appreciate the effort, the willingness coupled with the eagerness to try and be a little bit different from the rest. And with the right skill set behind the camera, you can turn a slightly simple to outright generic movie into something completely unforgettable, with some simple yet interesting, bold choices. This movie tries to do a little bit of everything, wherein it stands out from the other possession movies with a little bit of originality. It's not a generic horror movie trope of people come to the house is haunted, exorcise the house, oh, someone is possessed, exorcise them as well, sprinkle some holy water everywhere, the power of Christ compels something or someone. Okay, has everyone and everything been exorcised?
I have exorcised the demons. This house is clear.
We have seen those movies what feels like every 2 weeks. The paramount reason this movie stands out from the rest though is because of the combination of its directors, Danny and Michael Philippou. It has their uniqueness. They bring such a flair to the way they film their horror movies. There's a strong flow and heartbeat to their movies, as well as making your heart beat faster than it should. From the way they orchestrated Talk to Me, where it could have been a generic stupid kids play with a demonic item they know close to nothing about, and then suffer the catastrophic consequences type of movie, they injected a bit of unpredictability into that genre. And if there's one genre that benefits greatly from unpredictability, it's horror. It did have the tropes that horror movies have, but like I said before, it's hard to make a movie 100% original these days. But if filmmakers at least try to hit that 25 to 30% originality, I will gladly give them my money. Here, take it. You deserve it. And the way their movies unfold, the pace, the ideas, their creativity, the timeless practical effects, the realistic sound design, all of it. And they made this on a quarter of the budget of the mainstream Hollywood conveyor belt lazy by the numbers horror schlock, or should I say schlop, that we get. That's why when I heard that these brothers were making another movie and yet again in the horror genre, I got super excited, going by the way they constructed Talk to Me, all the way through till its amazing ending, cause bravo to Talk to Me's ending. One could say it's near perfect, which is no easy task. For those that haven't seen it, I won't spoil it here. So coming in to bring her back, I was almost sure that this was going to be another stellar addition into their filmography. And it was so close to being that until we came to its ending. Which brings me, unfortunately, to the negatives of this movie. Or should I say the one negative I have of this movie? Everything else I liked. It's just the last act, the climax of this movie, the way it ended. That's what I didn't like. And it's a big glaring negative. From here on in, I'm about to get into some spoilers. For all those that don't want to be spoiled, this is your spoiler warning. The ending of this movie is quite honestly the most unceremonious, uneventful, and the most anticlimactic way this movie could have ended. With almost no payoff for all its tension, for all its build-up, no real resolutions for some of its characters, as well as no comeuppance and retribution for its villain. I wanted so much more to happen to Laura. Bad stuff. For the bad things that she did in this movie. And they just didn't happen. To get into all that, I'm going to have to go into what happens in the movie and how it's betrayed by its ending and how I would have liked it to end. So, Here we go. Laura, played very annoyingly well by Sally Hawkins, is struck with the terrible loss of her daughter Kathy shortly before Andy, Billy Barrett's character, and Piper, Sora Wong's character, arrive at her house. Andy and Piper themselves have also recently lost their parental figure, being their father, Andy's biological and Piper's stepfather. And now what Laura wants to do is sacrifice Piper so that Kathy's soul cannot necessarily possess Piper's body, but be moved into Piper after sacrificing her. And in the beginning of this movie, we are shown the VCR tapes of how this ritual takes place, which shows that the person being sacrificed has to die the same way the person being brought back did. In this case, Kathy, Laura's daughter, passes unfortunately by drowning. So Laura plans to do the same to Piper, in the same place being Laura's pool. And the way the spirit's soul per se moves from one body to another is by calling upon a demonic angel. Now that's an oxymoron. And once you call upon this messed up angel, the angel itself needs a vessel to stay in while this ritual is underway. And this demon angel is kept encased in Laura's house by a large white circle that goes all around the circumference of her house. And under no circumstances is it to pass that white line, otherwise the demonic angel will be forced out of its vessel, as we were horrifyingly shown in the movie, as the young innocent boy whispers, "Help me," as his stomach vibrates ferociously trying to keep the demon inside. That scene gave me chills. That scene was very effective. All you could see in that moment was a scared little boy. Very reminiscent of that scene in The Exorcist where she has "help me" written on her belly. Maybe they were paying homage to that scene. And this is where Jonah Wren Phillips' creepy portrayal comes in as the character of Oliver, whose real name in the movie is Connor Bird, who is abducted by Laura to be the unfortunate, unwilling vessel. And once the ritual is ready to take place, Oliver, the vessel of this creature, feasts on the remains of Kathy, who is kept frozen in the back of the house, and later pukes them into Piper after she passes the same way Kathy did, so that Kathy can now move into Piper, who will become Kathy resurrected.
You one crazy ass.
Yeah, I told you there was at least 25 to 30% originality in this movie. All of that worked very well. So with that being the horrific mission and end goal of our villain in this movie, you would think of a myriad of possible and supposed endings. Maybe the ritual does end up going through and the last shot of the movie is the innocent Piper opening her eyes and the audience realizing her bleak fate of unwillingly becoming Kathy for the foreseeable future. That could have been one of the better endings. Or maybe in the chaos of the finale, the ones that were meant to be sacrificed are not sacrificed and the people that were supposed to be moved into certain bodies are moved into different bodies in a Freaky Friday horror kind of situation. That leaves us going, oh, okay, Kathy's back, but not in the body that you wanted. I see confusion. All right. Well, it pains me to say that none of those endings come to fruition. The ending that we do get is that Laura smashes Andy and Wendy with her car. Who's Wendy? She was a nice, innocent, caring social worker that was helping Andy and Piper after the death of their father. Wendy dies instantly, while Andy gets hit with the car and then drowned. Where? In a puddle. Then, just as she's about to drown Piper in her pool, and her selfish mission is about to conclude and Laura gets her daughter back and they get to live their messed up happily ever after, Piper screams out, "Mom!" And she stops what she's doing and realizes only in that moment, not when she killed Andy, not when she killed Wendy, the nice innocent social worker, not when she abducted an innocent, terrified young boy from his house. No. None of that. She leaves a terrible trail of utter devastation, chaos, and sorrow, and doesn't so much as flinch. But when the girl that she has brought to her house for one horrible, disgusting reason screams out, "Mum," the movie comes somewhat to an abrupt end. Now are you getting a picture as to why I really liked this movie until I didn't?
I want some more.
I believe after the movie we just watched, there should have been somewhat of a better ending than that. I absolutely do not mind bleak endings where the bad guy wins. I love them. In real life, I want the good to win every time, but in movies, bleak endings are kind of cool. Seven is a movie I consider perfect. Yeah, I'm using the word correctly. Perfect. And one of the greatest aspects that makes that movie perfect is the fact that, spoilers for 1997's Seven in 3, 2, 1, is because the bad guy wins at the end. Now, I'm not saying that this movie should have gone for the typical Hollywood horror movie ending with an over-the-top possession, crazy, bombastic, predictable climax. You know, the predictable horror movie scary checklist. Do we have possessed CGI people crawling on the walls on all fours? Yes, sir, we do. What about people contorting their bodies in such impossible ways while they make those clickety-clacky sounds? Do you mean
Yes, that's the one.
That would be a check. Anything else, my liege?
What if the audience believes that the entity has left the character's body, but in fact, it's still there and we have our double climax?
Sir, how could we have forgotten that?
Oh my god, yes, Mr. Executive Producer, sir, that
Is a beautiful checklist. We are about to print money.
Oh yes, we are.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
I'm not saying that I want that. I absolutely do not even a little. I love the somewhat grounded nature of this movie. But for it to conclude with almost no real resolution makes the whole journey of the movie feel extremely underwhelming come the finale. Which I don't want to feel because I absolutely enjoyed everything up until the ending. And this ends up being another shoulda, coulda, woulda if only they changed one thing, being the entire climax. Who knows, maybe this might have benefited from some early test screenings to see if this was the ending the masses preferred. Because from all the other chatter about this movie, it seems that nobody likes this ending and they would have liked it to end any other which way but this. Because I'm sure when the filmmakers looked at the rough cut of their movie, they must have realized that it was leaning towards being more, I'm going to use that term again, anticlimactic. I think there are at least 3 to 4 different endings that could have worked for this movie. Some I mentioned before, but one that I think would have leaned towards being more appropriate. Or at least an ending that I would have liked is if the brother Andy played a more prominent role and was the actual hero / protector for the finale. He was built up as such, and I wanted that resolution for him. He could have died just the same, I don't have a problem with that. But he should have had a much more pivotal role in saving his sister in the end. Now the way I would have liked it to end, instead of Andy dying by puddle drowning, he gets injured by Laura whichever way, but still overpowers Laura slightly. And while they are still in an altercation, Andy hurts Laura wherein she starts crawling on the ground. And because the ritual has reached its fever pitch, the demonic angel's insatiable appetite has it devouring everything in sight. Because earlier we are shown that closer to the ritual, it needs to eat. And it eats and bites down on everything without any pain. Munches on a kitchen knife, in an absolute face-churning scene, as well as treating himself to an open buffet. Him, as he takes a chunk of skin out of his forearm and then rips it all the way to his elbow. The practical effects in that scene were on point. And since we know that it wants to eat, why not have Laura, who has just had a fight with Andy, now crawling on the ground in deserved pain as she can't get away fast enough, and we see the creature walking towards her. Slowly, ominously, frighteningly, and then proceed to continue his open buffet, biting, scratching, gnawing at her, and taking chunks out of Laura as she screams in agony, having us, the audience, look away in horror, but also happy that her plan has backfired on her and she is the one in agonizing, tremendous, horrible, bloody pain. And with the practical effects that has been firing on all cylinders in this movie, a scene like that would have been shocking as hell, disgustingly realistic, bloody, grotesque, inflicted upon a character the audience knew had it coming. Gives me chills just thinking about it. And after the creature has finished its appetizer, it looks towards its main course, Andy, who's injured on the ground, not being able to move. As Piper tries desperately to help him up, Andy pleads with Piper to get as far away as possible. Screams at her, "Run! Go!" Piper's love for her brother can't allow her to leave. But after Andy pleads with her to go get help, as she is the only hope they both have in this moment, Piper waves her hands in front of her, doing her best to get away and find someone, anyone that can help, stumbling ever so slowly with the vision that she has. The demon now covered with a mouth full of blood and bits of Laura's flesh. Laura lying on the ground, unrecognizable without a face, and an abdomen scratched and torn apart. The demon makes his way slowly towards Andy, belly about to burst. Andy grabs anything around him to defend himself. The demon pushing towards his face, trying to get a bite or two. And he tries to push him away, but gets his finger bit in the process. Andy fighting with all he has as the demon comes back for another bite. And just as it's about to take a chunk out of his face, something flies past the demon's head. To Andy's horror, it's Piper, shouting and screaming and throwing everything at the creature to try and get it away from Andy. The creature now moves its attention to her, following her outside. As Andy screams, "No!" no! And Piper does her best to escape through the backyard, branches cutting at her, stumbling everywhere. The creature's now trying to eat Piper, but Piper won't go down without a fight. And they tussle and they roll and they fall. And all of a sudden the creature is writhing, rolling, screaming in excruciating pain with animalistic ferocity, making sounds not of this world, because Piper has unknowingly managed to move the creature across the line, the white line that it shouldn't cross, and the creature can no longer be contained in its vessel, who is Connor Bird, the boy that Laura abducted, as it slowly leaves his body, leaving only a scared, innocent, fragile young boy, crying from the horror he has just faced. A confused Piper screams out for her brother Andy. Andy screams back and tells her to follow his voice. Amazingly, she makes it back to him, bruised, bloodied, and battered, hanging on to whatever life he has left, just so he could embrace his sister one last time, knowing that they did whatever they could to keep each other safe, and he was the guardian that he needed to be. They say their last sorrow-filled goodbyes to each other, as Andy dies in Piper's arms, knowing she was safe. Isn't that a much more impactful ending? Still bleak, still sad, still horrifying. All the people that died are still dead. But most importantly, you get a little resolution and completion for some of the character arcs. The brother rises to the occasion of responsibility. The sister, even in this horrible situation, with her vision, did whatever she could to protect her brother. And the horrible, disgusting, sociopathic, psychotic Laura gets her deserved fate by being devoured gruesomely by the creature, for the audience to cheer and equally be revolted by. Much more cheering though. Because Laura needed to pay for what she did. Not all movies have to have the villain pay. But for this one, it feels so unbalanced. The ending we got has her kill Andy, kill Wendy, the nice, innocent social worker, abducts the boy Connor Bird, which is gonna scar him for life. Physically scar him. Munching on that knife is gonna need years of facial reconstructive surgery. Not to mention Hollywood-level dental work that insurance probably won't even cover. Mentally, he will never be the same again. And not to mention the boy's poor family as well. And also, when she killed Andy, that made Piper the only one left in her family, thus making her the only surviving orphan of her family now. So with all that, absolutely nothing happens to Laura whatsoever. She destroys 3 entire families. Andy and Piper's, Wendy the nice innocent social worker, and Connor Bird's family. All drastically destroyed. Obliterated in the horror movie sense, and she gets away scot-free. Maybe goes to jail. It's implied in the movie that she might have died after the creature took a chunk out of her arm and now she's gonna bleed out. But still, that's it. And she might have killed Andy and Piper's father. There is a point in the movie she does say it to Andy to get a reaction out of him. It's not a certainty, it's a little ambiguous, but going from what she's done in this movie, not out of the realm of possibility. Laura knew that they would have been put into foster care after the death of their father. Laura herself was a social worker, one of the best apparently, if you say so. And Laura probably knew Andy and Piper would be put into foster care, and she would have been able to get to Piper easily, and Piper's vision impaired, and her daughter was vision impaired, and that would make the ritual even better for her. That's how maniacal she could have been. It's not a certainty, but the crumbs are there, and that would make her even more of a crazy ass bitch. And I wanted her to get what was coming to her. This movie should have really gone for it. Should have taken off the restraints, get out of its straitjackets, and let it rip with some more realistic, gory looking practical effects in the finale. This movie is very good. It's well shot, maybe not well put together, but it's well acted as well. All the acting in this movie, I would give at least 9 out of 10 to most of them. But it could have been far more unforgettable, and I guess rewatchable as well. If only they stuck that landing. Whether a movie is good or great or amazing, it can all become undone if the ending is not well realized. However, I will give this movie the benefit of the doubt and say that it's still worth watching. Just keep in mind that the final act might let you down, most likely will let you down after the commitment of the first 2 acts. The directors Danny and Michael Philippou said that this might be the second entry in a shared universe with Talk to Me, and we know that Talk to Me is getting a sequel, Talk to Me. And even though Bring Her Back didn't reach my expectations, I am still very excited to see what these directors have in store for us. The way they inject creativity, energy, and flair into what they make, that aspect cannot be ignored. Overall, I would give this movie a 5.4 out of 10. It's slightly above average. Could have been higher, way higher. with, of course, a different ending. Let me know down in the comments what all of you thought of the movie. Do you like it as is? Was the ending good for you? Was my version of the ending something you would entertain? Do you have an ending that you would have liked seen come to fruition? I'm very curious to know. Let me know down below. And if you're looking for movies similar to this one or quite similar to this one, the old Stephen King classic Pet Sematary comes to mind, as well as a 2016 Welsh movie called A Dark Song that has similar vibes to Bring Her Back, but a little bit more quieter, more somber and slow building, yet interesting. Until next time, my wonderful people, please help my growing channel by throwing in a like, comment your thoughts on the movie and its ending, talk to me about Bring Her Back. All right, I know it's a bad one. Subscribe and hit that notification bell if you've enjoyed this video and want to be notified for my next video. And as always, peace, love, and I'll see you when I see you.